My wife passed away in the middle of an affair. I didn't attend her burial, left my toxic stepdaughter with nothing, and reclaimed all that was mine. I'm Demetrius, 32 years old, and I run an import-export company in Thessaloniki. I built it from scratch after spending 5 years working hard on cargo ships. Now I'm making a 7-figure income yearly, bringing in the best olive oil and wine from across Greece. I'm not boasting. This ties into the chaotic situation that has become my life. 6 years ago, I met Katerina at a wine exhibition in Athens. She was 35, a marketing director for a luxury hotel chain, and incredibly beautiful. The kind of woman who grabs attention when she enters a room. She came over to my booth, praised my selection of Assertico, and we ended up talking for 3 hours. She was smart, humorous, and genuinely seemed to care about my business ideas. That was my first red flag, which I ignored like a fool. She shared about her tough divorce and her fresh start in Thessaloniki within the first hour, but her captivating eyes distracted me, and I wasn't thinking straight. She had a 14-year-old daughter named Stevela. When Katerina introduced us, the girl hardly glanced up from her iPhone. I thought, whatever, teenagers, right? We dated for 8 months. Katerina subtly pushed for commitment, not overtly, but through comments about stability for Stavery and how her ex was unreliable with child support. She'd cook fancy dinners at my place, often mentioning how much better Stavery would thrive in a stable 2-parent environment. The intimacy was amazing. She knew just how to keep me hooked. Whenever I had doubts, she had a way with her tongue that completely distracted me. We got married in Santorini. Her idea, my funds, 50,000 euros for a wedding with 200 of her closest friends and family. I had 20 people there. That should have been a warning sign. The intimacy stopped exactly 2 months after the wedding. Not slowed down, but completely stopped as if someone had flipped a switch. Suddenly, she was tired from work, had migraines, or worried about Stavery hearing us. We went from daily intimacy to maybe once a month. And even then, it felt like she was doing me a favor. Meanwhile, Stevela turned into a little monster the moment that ring was on Katerina's finger. This kid would barge into my home office during important calls and blast music. She'd spill wine on my laptop. She'd take cash from my wallet and, when confronted, claim I promised it to her and run crying to her mother. Katerina's response was always the same. She's traumatized from the divorce. Be patient. You're the adult here. I was tired of being the adult. I realized I was being manipulated, but I had created this life, this image. A successful businessman with a beautiful wife and a home in Calamaria. I convinced myself things would improve. I covered everything. Stavery's tuition at Anatolia College, 25,000 euros a year, so she could fail half her classes. Therapy costing 150 euros per session, twice a week, where Stavery apparently spent the time talking about how stupid I was. Designer clothes, the latest iPhone, trips to MCOs with her friends. All on my expense. 3 years ago, Katerina started working late. The luxury hotel industry is demanding, she said. Important clients from Dubai and Russia needed entertaining. I'm not naive. I understand what entertaining means in hotels. But she always returned home, had receipts, and colleagues who would back her up. Then came the girls' trips. Once a month, she needed to unwind with her friends. MCOs, Crete, Athens. Always some beach or club. Always coming back exhausted but looking rejuvenated. Always with new lingerie that I never got to see her wear. This is where I stopped being a victim. Last month, I did what I should have done years ago. I hired a private investigator. Best 5,000 euro I ever spent. Giannis, that's the jerk's name. A personal trainer at Olympic Fitness in Calamaria, where my devoted wife goes to keep her figure for me. He's 28, ex-military, and looks like a Greek god. The investigator had photos. Hotels in Chalkidiki, not even far enough away to be discreet. The girls' trips? She'd go to the airport, meet him in the parking lot, and drive to a resort. The late nights at work, his apartment in the city center. A year. They've been at it for a year. But here's the twist. I haven't confronted her. Why? Because I've been busy. While she's been with Giannis, I've been moving assets, liquidating, restructuring, creating new companies, shifting money to accounts she doesn't know about. In Greece, divorce laws are complicated. She could claim half of everything gained during the marriage. But if assets aren't there, or tied up in failing businesses, or poorly invested, judges can't split what isn't there. I've also been documenting everything. Every receipt for Stavery's nonsense. Every time Katerina refused intimacy. Yeah, I kept a spreadsheet. Every girl's trip. Every late night. My lawyer, the best in Thessaloniki, says I have enough to bury her in court. Tomorrow she's driving to our villa in Halkidiki for another girls' weekend. Except I know Yanis has requested time off from the gym. They're going to be together in the bed I paid for in the house I built. Probably laughing about how pathetic I am. They're correct about one thing. I've been pathetic, but that changes now. I've already filed the paperwork. She'll be served at the villa. The locks on the Calamaria apartment will be changed while she's away. Completely legal. It's solely in my name. Her credit cards will be canceled at midnight. The BMW she drives is reported stolen because it's in my company's name, not hers. Stavery's tuition for next semester? Not my concern. That unlimited credit card? Dead. The apartment I've been paying for near the university? The lease ends next month, not renewing. I'm done being the wallet. Done being the stable provider. Done pretending this toxic marriage is salvageable. Some will say I'm being cruel. That I should think of the kid. That I should be the bigger person. Forget that. I've been the bigger person for 6 years. I've endured disrespect while they treated me like an ATM. I've paid for the privilege of being disrespected in my own home. No more updates. It's been 3 hours since I posted this. She just texted me from the road. Traffic is awful. Baby, I might be late. Don't wait up. Yeah, I won't be waiting. I'll be at my lawyer's office making sure everything is airtight. Update 2. Holy crap. I just got a call. There's been an accident. I need to go. Update. She's dead. I don't even know how to process this. 2 hours after my last update, I received a call from the police. Single car accident on the Thessaloniki-Chokiki highway. Katerina's BMW wrapped around a tree. She died on impact. But here's the messed up part. She wasn't alone. I drove to the hospital in shock. The whole ride, I experienced emotions I couldn't even name. Grief, relief, guilt, anger that she died before I could divorce her. When I arrived, the police pulled me aside. They needed to prepare me for something, they said. My wife hadn't been alone in the car. A male passenger survived with minor injuries. Cuts, bruises, possible concussion. I knew before they said his name, Yanis. They led me to the ICU. There he was, this Mediterranean statue, lying in a hospital bed, wrapped in bandages and a gown. The nurses explained he had been inadequately dressed when they brought him in. His clothes were in a bag by the bed, just gym shorts and sandals. The jerk was high on painkillers and adrenaline when I walked in. His eyes widened when he recognized me, started babbling apologies, calling me brother, saying it wasn't what I thought. She told me you had an arrangement, he slurred. He said I couldn't satisfy her anymore, that I knew about them. I just stared at him, this pitiful guy in his hospital bed, probably still sticky from my wife, trying to justify why he was with her in my car. How long? I asked. 14 months, he whispered. Longer than I expected. Longer than the investigator had found. Were there others? He looked away. That was answer enough. I left without another word. What would be the point? She was gone. He was nothing. Just the latest in a line of men who took advantage of my wife while I funded her life. The doctor stopped me in the hall. They needed me to identify the body. Did I want a moment to prepare? No. I wanted to see her. She looked small. The woman who dominated my life for 6 years, who made me feel worthless for not being enough, who gaslit me into thinking I was the issue. She was just a broken body on a metal table. The doctor said she died instantly. Probably never felt a thing. The car had been going 140 kilometers per hour when it hit the tree. No skid marks. She hadn't even tried to brake. I signed the paperwork. They asked about funeral arrangements. I said I'd need to think about it. As I was leaving, Stevela arrived. 20 years old, dressed like she was going clubbing, fake eyelashes and all. She took one look at me and started screaming. This is your fault. You drove her to this. She was miserable with you. I let her scream. Let her make a scene in the hospital lobby. Security started moving closer, but I waved them off. When she finally ran out of steam, she said the most predictable thing. You need to handle the funeral. Mom would want something beautiful, and I'll need money for everything. That's when something snapped in me. Not violently. More like a rubber band that's been overstretched finally breaking. All the tension just released. No, I said. What do you mean no? You were her husband, she said, in the past. And you know what? I'm done with all of it. With you, with her memory, with pretending this was a real family. I walked out. She followed me to the parking lot, screeching about responsibilities, what people would think, and how could I abandon her in her time of need. I got in my car, not the company Audi she'd been angling for, and drove home. She was still screaming when I pulled away. It's been 24 hours now. My phone won't stop ringing. Her family, who never cared about me unless they needed something. Her friends, the ones who probably knew about the affairs. Stavery, leaving increasingly unhinged voicemails about how I'm a monster. The funeral home called. They need decisions. I gave them Stavery's number. My lawyer called too. Wanted to know if this changed anything regarding the asset restructuring. No, I told him. If anything, it accelerated. Because here's what I realized. Sitting in my empty apartment while drinking wine from my own imports. I'm free. She died cheating on me. Literally died with another man's __, probably still inside her. And somehow I'm supposed to mourn, pretend to be the grieving widower, and pay for a funeral to celebrate the life of a woman who spent our entire marriage lying to me. Forget that. Tomorrow I'm going to the bank, canceling every card, every automatic payment, everything linked to her or Stavery, the apartment near the university, sending an eviction notice, the bills for her family's phones that I've been paying. Done. I'm not even sad. Is that messed up? My wife of 6 years is dead, and all I feel is lighter. Like I've been carrying a boulder on my back, and someone finally knocked it off. The Greek Orthodox Church says I should forgive, that I should honor her memory, that I should take care of her daughter. The Greek Orthodox Church can kiss my rear. Update. Stavery just posted on Instagram a photo of her and Katerina with some sob story caption about losing her best friend and soulmate. The GoFundMe link is in her bio. Goal: 20,000 euros for funeral expenses and getting back on my feet. She's raised 500 euros in 2 hours. Good luck with the other 19,500 euros. Kid Post 3. The Funeral Saga and the Great Revelation. It's been a week since Katerina died with her personal trainer's DK in her, and the drama has reached levels I didn't think possible. First, let me address something from my last post. A lot of you said I was being heartless about Stavery, that she's just a kid who lost her mother, that I should be the bigger person. Let me tell you what this kid has been up to. The day after Katerina died, while I was dealing with police reports and hospital bureaucracy, Stavery broke into the Calamaria apartment. Not with a key. I'd already changed the locks. She convinced the building manager that she was emotionally distressed and needed to get some photos of her mother. He let her in. She didn't take photos. She took my Rolex collection, worth 80,000 euros, Katerina's jewelry that I bought, another 50,000 euros, and a signed Giannis Antetokounmpo jersey from my office. She also tried to take my laptop, but apparently got spooked when the neighbor came to check on the noise. I know this because I have security cameras, which she knew about but apparently forgot in her grief-stricken state. I called the police, filed a report, and showed them the footage. They picked her up at her friend's apartment wearing my Submariner and trying to sell my Omega to some shady dealer. She's currently out on bail, paid for by Katerina's sister. But we'll get to that disaster in a minute. The funeral. Oh my God. The funeral. Katerina's family, who I financially supported for 6 years, suddenly became traditional Greek Orthodox devotees. Her mother, who hadn't been to church since the dictatorship, was wailing about proper burial rites and how Katerina needed a beautiful send-off. The funeral director called me 8 times. 8. Each time with new demands from the family. Solid mahogany casket with gold fixtures, 15,000 euros. Full Orthodox service with paid mourners, 5,000 euros. Burial plot in the good cemetery, 25,000 euros. Reception at the Grande Bratana, 10,000 euros. Total 55,000 euros for a woman who died cheating with another man. I sent one text to the funeral director. I'll pay for cremation. Basic service. That's it. The family lost their minds. Katerina's sister, Eleni, showed up at my office with a priest. An actual priest to shame me into paying. She was your wife before God, the priest thundered. She was cheating with her personal trainer before God, too, I replied. Where's his contribution? The priest left. Eleni didn't. She tried every manipulation in the book, tears, guilt, threats to tell everyone what kind of man I am. Tell them, I said. Tell them I refuse to pay 55,000 euros to bury a cheater. Let's see how that plays out. She called me a bastard and stormed out. But here's where it gets interesting. That night, I got a call from my accountant. Someone had tried to access Katerina's life insurance policy, the one where I'm the beneficiary. The family was trying to claim it directly from the insurance company, saying I was emotionally unfit to handle the funds. Except there's no life insurance. Katerina canceled it 2 years ago without telling me. Cashed out the surrender value, 30,000 euros, and never said a word. Want to guess where that money went? I pulled bank records. 30,000 euros transferred to an account I didn't recognize. Did some digging. The account belonged to Yanis. My deceased wife had given him my money. Money from a life insurance policy meant to protect me if something happened to her. But wait, it gets better. Remember how Yanis said there were others? I hired my investigator again. Told him to dig deeper, find everything. 4 men in 6 years. 4. Yanis was just the latest and longest. Nikos, her Pilates instructor, year 2. Petro, a client from Dubai, year 3. Alexandros, her best friend's husband, year 4 to 5. Yanis, year 5 to 6. The investigator found credit card records, hotel receipts I thought were business expenses, gifts charged to my cards, a weekend in Paris with Alexandros that she claimed was a marketing conference. But the crown jewel? A secret bank account with 200,000 euros. 200,000 euros siphoned from our joint accounts over 6 years, small transfers, cash back at grocery stores, spa treatments that never happened, all sitting in an account at Alpha Bank under only her name. She was planning to leave. The investigator found emails with a lawyer about divorce proceedings. She was going to claim abuse, say I was controlling, manipulative, paint herself as a victim who needed alimony and half my business to start fresh. The accident spared me from that particular mess. So now, a week later, here's where we stand. The funeral happened yesterday. Her family scraped together money for a basic service. I didn't attend. Instead, I was at my lawyer's office filing claims against her estate for theft and fraud. Stavery is facing theft charges. Her Instagram is full of posts about her abusive stepfather and how I'm dishonoring her mother's memory. The GoFundMe is up to 3,000 euros. She needs 2,000 euros just for next month's rent since I evicted her from the university apartment. Yanis has been discharged from the hospital. He tried to reach out to me through Instagram of all things. Wants to clear the air and honor Katerina's memory together. I screenshot his message and sent it to his employer with a note about their trainer sleeping with married clients. He's now unemployed. Katerina's family is threatening to sue me for emotional distress. My lawyer laughed for 5 minutes when I told him. The 200,000 euros in the secret account is frozen, pending investigation. Since it's provably my money stolen through fraud, it will come back to me eventually. Her clothes, shoes, bags? Donated to charity, except for the stuff I bought that's being sold. I've already made 20,000 euros on designer bags alone. Our wedding photos? Burned them in my fireplace while enjoying a particularly good Assertico from my personal collection. People keep asking if I feel guilty, if I have regrets, if I wish I'd handled things differently. The only thing I regret is not recognizing the truth sooner. Not trusting my instincts when they screamed something was off. Not protecting myself from the beginning. But guilt for not playing the grieving widower? For not funding elaborate funeral rites for a serial cheater? For not continuing to support her spoiled daughter? Not one bit. I'm 32 years old. I built a successful business. I own properties. I have money in the bank. More now that I'm not funding 2 leeches. I'm in the best shape of my life because rage is apparently great for workouts. Last night, I went to a wine bar in Lydica alone. Ordered a bottle of excellent Zyamo and actually enjoyed it. No one asking for a sip of the expensive wine. No one complaining that I work too much. No one texting their side piece while pretending to listen to me talk about my day. The owner, a woman about my age, struck up a conversation about the wine. We talked for 2 hours about terroir and tannins and the art of importing. She gave me her card. Said she'd love to feature some of my selections. For the first time in 6 years, I went home feeling hopeful. Katerina is gone. Stavery is someone else's concern. The family that drained me for years is cut off. And me? I'm finally completely free. Update, Eleni just texted. The cemetery is demanding payment for the burial plot. Apparently, they only paid a deposit. They need 20,000 euro more, or they'll have to exhume Katerina and move her to a cheaper location. I responded with a thumbs up emoji. Update 2. My lawyer just called. The forensic accountant found another 50,000 euros hidden in cryptocurrency. Katerina was smarter than I gave her credit for. Not smart enough to avoid wrapping her BMW around a tree while having an affair, but still. Post 4. The nuclear option. 3 weeks since Katerina's death, and I thought the drama was winding down. I was wrong. The leeches were just regrouping. Yesterday morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls. My business line, my personal phone, even my LinkedIn was blowing up. Why? Stavery had gone nuclear. She'd given an interview to a popular Athens tabloid blog, complete with tears, dramatic photos at Katerina's grave, and a sob story about her evil stepfather who abandoned her after her mother's tragic death. But that wasn't the shocking part. She claimed I killed Katerina. According to this piece of junk article, I sabotaged the BMW because I discovered the affair. She painted a picture of a violent, controlling man who couldn't handle his wife's pursuit of happiness. She even suggested I had connections to organized crime through my import business. The blog post went viral. #JusticeForKaterina was trending on Greek Twitter. My business Facebook page was flooded with one-star reviews calling me a murderer. Here's the thing about making false accusations. You better ensure your target doesn't have receipts. And I have all the receipts. I called my lawyer. Then I called my PR firm. Then I made a decision that would end this nonsense once and for all. Release everything. I told them everything. My lawyer asked, everything? Every single thing. Within 6 hours, my PR team had created a website, thetruthaboutkaterina.gr. On it, everything. The investigators' report with photos of her affairs. Bank records showing the stolen €200,000. The security footage of Stavery robbing my apartment. Screenshots of Katerina's emails planning to rob me in the divorce. The life insurance fraud documents. Credit card records of gifts to her lovers. Her deleted Instagram DMs with all 4 men. But the crown jewel? A video from Yanis's cloud storage that the investigator found. Him and Katerina in my bed in my villa laughing about how pathetic I was. How I was too dumb to notice. How they were waiting for the right moment to take everything from me. The site got 100,000 hits in the first hour. I also included a special section for Stavery. Her academic record showed she was failing before I came along. The €400,000 I spent on her over 6 years. Text messages where she called me a walking wallet. Her arrest record for the robbery. Screenshots of her trying to sell my stolen watches online. Then I did interviews, not with tabloid blogs, but with legitimate journalists. I sat in my office calm and composed and laid out the facts. No emotion, no anger, just documentation. I'm not asking anyone to feel sorry for me, I said to one reporter. I'm simply correcting the record. My wife died while committing adultery. Her daughter is a thief. Her family are grifters. These are provable facts. The public opinion shifted instantly and brutally. #JusticeForDemetrius started trending. Stavery's Instagram went private after she was bombarded with messages calling her out. The blog that published her interview issued a retraction and apology. But I wasn't finished. Remember that €20,000 the cemetery needed? Katerina's family had been harassing me daily about it, sending priests to my office, having elderly relatives call me crying, staging protests outside my business. So I paid it, but not how they expected. I had my lawyer draft a contract. I would pay the €20,000 directly to the cemetery, but only if the family signed a comprehensive agreement. No further contact with me ever. No public statements about me or my business. No claims on any assets or insurance. Admission that all allegations of wrongdoing were false. They had 48 hours to sign or Katerina gets exhumed and moved to a cheap grave. Eleni showed up at my office within 2 hours, contract in hand. You bastard, she spat as she signed. I'm not altering her conduct. Turns out using university resources to spread defamatory content is grounds for expulsion. She was already on academic probation for her grades. She's out. No degree, no references, no financial support. Her GoFundMe got shut down after I reported it for fraud. The €3,000 she raised is frozen, pending investigation. The friend she was staying with suddenly became unavailable after seeing the security footage of her robbing my apartment. Last I heard, she was working at a souvlaki shop near Aristotle University, serving gyros to the students she used to party with. Her Instagram bio now reads private account. Living my truth. Meanwhile, Yanis tried to save his reputation by giving his own interview. Claimed I was weaponizing grief and that Katerina was the love of his life. That lasted 12 hours before 3 other married women came forward with their own Yanis stories. Turns out sleeping with married clients was his specialty. He's now facing multiple lawsuits and had to move back to his parents' house in some village near Lissa. As for Alexandros, the best friend's husband, his wife found out through my website. She's divorcing him and taking him for everything. She actually sent me a bottle of champagne with a note. Thank you for the evidence. Good riddance to bad rubbish. It's been 72 hours since the website went live. My business has actually seen an increase. Apparently, standing up to leeches resonates with people. I've had 3 investment offers from individuals who admire my backbone. But here's what truly matters. Last night, I had dinner at that wine bar in Lydica again. The owner, Maria, had invited me to a private tasting of new imports. We spent 4 hours discussing wine, business, and life. I heard about your situation, she said eventually. I'm sorry you went through that. I'm not, I replied. It taught me valuable lessons, like when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. When your gut tells you something's wrong, listen. And never fund someone else's life at the expense of your own happiness. She smiled. Wise words, though I'd add one more. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us clear the path for the best things. We're having dinner again tomorrow. A real date this time, not a business meeting disguised as one. This morning, I woke up in my apartment, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. No one stealing from me. No one lying to me. No one treating me like a walking ATM. My business is thriving. The leeches are gone. The truth is out there for anyone who cares to look. And Katerina? She's exactly where she deserves to be, in a hole in the ground that her family can barely afford. Remembered not as a devoted wife and mother, but as a serial cheater who died with another man's __ in her. Poetic justice doesn't get much more poetic than that. Update. Stavery just tried to add me on LinkedIn. The audacity of this brat, blocked and reported. Update 2. My accountant just called. Between the recovered stolen funds, the cryptocurrency, and the liquidation of Katerina's assets, I'm actually 300,000 euros richer than before she died. Turns out cutting off leeches is profitable. Update 3. Eleni texted from a new number begging for just 5,000 euros for some emergency. I responded with a screenshot of the contract she signed, then blocked her again. Post 5, 6 months later, the final update. Half a year. That's how long Katerina's been feeding worms, and I've been living my best life. I wasn't planning to update again, but the past week has been enlightening, and I figure those of you who follow this saga deserve to know how it ends. First, let me paint a picture of my life. Now my business is booming. The website exposing Katerina's lies? The best marketing I never intended. Turns out Greek businessmen respect a man who doesn't take crap. I've signed 3 major distribution deals and opened a second warehouse in Piraeus. Maria and I are together. We're not living together. I'm not making that mistake again, but we're properly dating. She owns 3 wine bars now and exclusively features my imports. We're partners in business and pleasure, and she actually contributes instead of just taking. Last month, we went to Santorini, stayed at the same hotel where I married Katerina. Felt like exorcising a demon. Maria knew the significance and suggested we make better memories. We did, repeatedly on the same balcony where I proposed to that parasite. But the real reason for this update? The universe decided to serve me one final course of justice, and it's too good not to share. Remember Giannis, the personal trainer who was with my wife when she crashed her BMW? He reached out last week. Not directly, he knows better. Through a mutual acquaintance who owns a gym equipment distribution company I work with. Giannis is completely messed up. After the scandal broke, no gym in Greece would hire him. His reputation as a marriage wrecker made him toxic. He attempted online personal training, but my website ranking higher than his attempts at rehabilitation led him to move to Cyprus for a fresh start. That lasted 2 months before a client's husband recognized him from my website and beat the crap out of him in the gym parking lot. Back to Greece, living with mommy and daddy in that village near Lissa working construction. The golden god who used to flex in mirrors for a living now carries bricks for 40 euros a day. But here's where it gets beautiful. He has medical bills. Turns out the car accident wasn't as minor as initially thought. Spine damage requires ongoing treatment, physiotherapy, pain management, the works. Total cost? 50,000 euro over the next 2 years. And Greek national insurance doesn't cover experimental treatments he needs. His parents are farmers. They don't have that kind of money. So he swallowed what was left of his pride and asked our mutual friend to ask me for a loan. A loan. The man who left my wife for 14 months wants me to pay for his medical treatment. I agreed to meet him. Not out of kindness. I wanted to see how far he'd fallen. We met at a coffee shop in Larissa. He looked terrible. The magazine cover abs were gone, replaced by the soft belly of a man who drinks cheap beer to forget. "Dimitri," he started, "I know you have no reason to help me." "You're right. I don't. But I'm desperate. The pain is constant. I can't work construction much longer. I need this surgery." I let him talk. Let him grovel. Let him explain how sorry he was, how Katerina pursued him, how he was young and stupid. Then I pulled out my phone and showed him a photo. Maria and me on a yacht I just bought, toasting with champagne worth more than his monthly salary. "This is my life now," I said. "No lies, no betrayal, no leeches draining my accounts." He started crying. Actually crying. This 28-year-old former warrior reduced to tears in a suburban coffee shop. "Please," he begged. "I'll pay you back with interest. I'll sign anything." I finished my coffee, stood up, looked down at this broken man who once laughed about cuckolding me. "Yanis," I said, "you left my wife in my bed, in my house, with my money paying for the room. You laughed about how pathetic I was. I was wrong. Yes, you were. Because I'm not a provider. I'm a businessman. And you're a bad investment." I left him there crying into his frappé. But the universe wasn't done with its comedy show. 3 days ago, Stavery popped back up. Not in person. She's learned that lesson through a lawyer. She's suing me for emotional damages and unlawful eviction. She claims I owe her support as her de facto guardian and that publishing her criminal activities caused irreparable harm to her future prospects. Her lawyer sent a demand for 100,000 euros, or they'll go to court. I laughed so hard Maria thought I was having a breakdown. My lawyer's response was a work of art. A single page listing her criminal conviction for theft, my Rolexes, her academic expulsion for defamation, her signed confession admitting to stealing 130,000 euros in goods, a counterclaim for 500,000 euros in damages to my business from her false accusations. Her lawyer dropped the case within 24 hours. But here's the beautiful irony. Stavery couldn't afford the lawyer. She'd convinced him to work on contingency, promising a big payday from her guilty stepfather. When he realized there was no money coming, he billed her for his time. 5,000 euros she doesn't have. She's now being sued by her own lawyer. Last I heard through the grapevine, she's living with some 45-year-old divorced guy who owns a tourist shop in Hakati, playing stepdaughter to his 2 kids, trading her youth for rent, just like her mother taught her. The cycle continues, but not at my expense. But wait, the universe saved the best for last. Remember that villa in Halkidiki? The one where Katerina died driving back from her girls' trip? I've been trying to sell it. Too many memories of betrayal. The buyer? A Russian oligarch who collects Greek properties. Price, 2.4 million euros. Cash. The closing was yesterday. As I signed the papers, the buyer made small talk. Mentioned he'd researched the property's history, knew about Katerina, had even seen my website in Russia. He said, "We have a saying, when a woman dies during whoring, it's God's own justice. You are a lucky man." Lucky. She showed her true colors before taking half. My first wife waited 20 years. Cost me an oil refinery. We toasted with vodka worth more than Stavery's annual salary. Walking out of that office, 2.4 million euros richer, I felt the last weight lift off my shoulders. That villa was the final connection to that life. Now it's gone, turned into funds that will support my expansion into international markets. Maria met me for dinner afterward. I told her about Yanis begging for money, about Stavery's failed lawsuit, about the Russians' toast. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Like I won," I said. "Not because they're suffering. I don't care enough about them for that, but because I'm thriving despite their best efforts to destroy me." She raised her glass to the best revenge, which is a life well lived with someone who adds value instead of extracting it. We went back to her place, celebrated properly. No lies between us, no hidden phones, no sudden headaches, just honest, enthusiastic connection with someone who wants me for me, not my bank account. This morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through her windows and the sound of her making Greek coffee in the kitchen. No dread in my stomach. No wondering where she really was last night. No checking bank statements for mysterious withdrawals. Just peace. 6 months ago, I thought my life was ending. My wife was dead. Her family was attacking me. And social media wanted my head on a spike. Now I'm dating a wonderful woman who matches my ambition. My business has doubled in value. I'm in the best shape of my life. I started boxing. Turns out punching things legally is great therapy. My bank account is fuller than ever. And the leeches? Exactly where they deserve to be. Yanis is carrying bricks with a messed up spine. Stavery is trading her body for rent money. Katerina's family is blocked on everything. Probably still fighting over who owes the cemetery for flowers. Some of you might still think I'm heartless, that I should have shown mercy. That forgiveness is divine. Forget that. Forgiveness is what got me into that mess. Forgiving the red flags. Forgiving the disrespect. Forgiving the dead bedroom while she gave it to every muscle-bound jerk who smiled at her. You know what's divine? Justice. And sometimes justice means letting people face the full consequences of their choices. Katerina chose to steal from me, cheat on me, and plan to ruin me. She died while being unfaithful in a car I paid for. Stavery chose to treat me poorly, rob me, and try to frame me for crimes. She's now with an older man, trading her youth for rent. Yanis chose to sleep with a married woman and laugh about cuckolding her husband. He's now broke, and begging that same husband for help. Me? I chose to stop being a victim, to protect myself, and to value my worth over their needs. And that choice has led me here to a life better than anything I had with those leeches attached to me. So to anyone reading this who's in a similar situation being used, cheated on, and treated like a walking ATM, know this. You don't owe them anything, neither your money, forgiveness, nor your continued suffering.